It was strange and awkward to see Carloy expressing his anger as he suddenly came into the bedroom. Ivonne felt it then. As she wasn't the old Lilian Lu, Carloy is also not the old cow. Carloy expresses his hatred for Dewa and desire to eliminate those who receive the same name in the empire. Ivonne had to abandon his hatred towards her, who was unable to favor her. She had to convince Carloy that minimizing Duke's interference was beneficial. Though Ivonne soon learned that she couldn't even do that, Carloy's hatred seemed to have erased all options other than hostility. She can't be honest with Carloy, and she can't comfortably side with him. Nevertheless, it is impossible to win Carloy's favor by listening to the Duke's words. Ivonne, feeling hopeless, rubbed her wet eyes, a strange occurrence. After a long time of crying, she hoped to escape hell, but instead, she entered another nightmare, unable to do anything about it. She was crying and lonely, muttered to her mother. Despite her noble position, she fell into despair, reminiscing about her past happiness, even if she is poor. Ivonne did not understand the many ways of the Duke of Dewa, who suddenly appeared as her father. For example, why he is harsh to her but so generous to her mother. Denise is advised by Duke not to stay outside for extended periods due to health concerns. She wants to spend time with Lu, but Denise is advised to take care of herself. Despite taking her mother hostage, Ivonne couldn't comprehend the Duke's risky no-leak magic actions, leading to increased fear and disgust towards him. Denise, Yvonne's mother, is worried about her daughter's marriage, but is unable to attend due to her condition. She has improved since visiting the Duke's residence, where she has a luxurious bed and servants. Denise wishes to attend the wedding, but the Duke warns her it's too dangerous. She believed Yvonne will be lonely without a family, which make her judgment blurred due to her terminal illness, and didn't know the Duke was manipulative. Even Yvonne initially believed in the Duke. How happy she was to have a father. Now, I'll be your father, the Duke said. Are you happy, Lu? Denise grabbed her daughter's hand with her dry hand. The innocent questions choked her breath. Yvonne smiles, overcoming 14 years of hardship. She resembles the Duke she hates, hiding her feelings. Denise would jump out of the window if she knew Yvonne was threatened by the Duke, as the Duke had a plan to control Yvonne, leaving her mother to protect her. Yvonne promised to visit her mother frequently and now sees her mother receiving daily medication, not coughing. As long as Denise was in the Duke's hand, she wouldn't tell the truth even in her sleep. Besides, who the hell would she be telling it to? She had no one to talk to and no reason to talk about it to. To Carloy, Yvonne is a cruel and evil empress, who resembles the disgusting Duke, who was able to do whatever he wanted, without hesitation. The Duke anticipated Yvonne's eventual abandonment of her oath, and as a backup, he sought a spell to protect her from the possibility of forgetting her mother. Yvonne realized this fact when she drank the poison that was intended for Kina without hesitation. She really wanted to run away. Even running away meant death. She was willing to accept it. Though it was strange, because Carloy's expression was unexpected, she obviously knew that he always wanted her to disappear. But what kind of expression was that? She had a long ongoing dream. It was her dream as Lilian Lu's days. 12-year-old Lilian Lu was a young child who lived in a slum, set in a barely inhabited dark forest with her mother in the Duchy of Dewa. Lilian Lu was living a decent life with what she had. A loving mother's voice hugged and whispered to her every night. Denise suffered a terrible illness, requiring expensive medicine. Poverty and illness often mated, but Lilian Lu became responsible for her livelihood at a young age, facing numerous misfortunes. Lilian worked for dark forest thugs, providing money and help in avoiding security forces' suspicion. She delivered items, cleaned their dwelling, and labored for a small amount of money. Lilian's lack of guilt and conscience made it easy for the thugs. Lilian encountered Carloy, a young boy tied up in a dirty thug's den. Initially, he was a victim of thugs, but this was the first time she had seen such a child. The boy warned Lilian to run away, assuming she was innocent. Lilian observes a boy who is focused on others without considering his situation. A thug enters and confronts him about his carelessness, warning him of losing money and being kicked out. A boy's expression of betrayal and contempt towards Lilian Lu was buried in her mind, asking if she was with them. A thug retaliated with a brutal blow, leaving Lilian Lu in fear, akin to witnessing a grown-up beating a child. A beaten boy becomes quiet and tears up, and Lilian advises him to shut up. The boy's bloody face is terrifying, and Lilian rubbed his face with her hand, causing him to look at her with disgust. Young Carloy confronts her, who appears to be a criminal. She wipes his face, revealing bloody marks on his face and head. After wiping his face, Lilian exclaims, "The boy is so pretty." Lilian stuffed the bread she had snuck from the kitchen into his mouth. If he has to close his mouth to be pretty, she'll make it that way. The frowned at her, but ate her dewy bread, a dry bread made with barely any dough. He was more treasured than expected, as he had never tried it before. Lilian offers to give another bread if he say his name. Both rich and poor families experience hunger, but the boy told him if he thinks he was a dog, she will give him panada jam if he will tell his name. He answered that he was Cal. Lilian eagerly observed Cal's dirty appearance, and asked him how old he was, which he revealed to be 13 years old, which is 1 year older than her. Lilian took her ointment and applied it to Cal's mouth. He groaned in pain. Lilian walks towards the door, counting the steps. She hears a sound, and Cal cries out, urging her not to leave him alone. Lilian approaches Cal and squats next to him, feeling his tension relieved. Cal was kidnapped by someone seeking something from his house. The family hasn't been contacted since receiving the advance payment. She runs errands for the thugs and suspects the thugs might have to kill Cal. The boy cries, resembling a curse, remained unresolved, despite Lilian's efforts to care for his wounds, provide food, and stay with him at night. In a place filled with blood and tears, Lilian's humanity seemed insufficient for him, as he hated her for not providing much help. Cal would plead her not to leave him, and Lilian felt like a mother bird watching a baby bird. Cal, ask her why is she helping them. Lilian, struggling with her sick mother, is helping those bastards as she has no other source of income. Lilian's financial situation is uncertain due to her need for expensive medicine. Her sudden silence reflects her depression and despair. Cal, feeling uncomfortable due to Lilian's silence, asks her to search his pants. However, Lilian, as if he was a bold boy who knew no shame, put her hand inside Cal's pants. There was something around the waist. It was a pocket. Inside, there was a brooch that looked very expensive, even for Lilian who knows nothing. It had a sparkle that only the real thing could exude. The brooch alone sparkled in a dark room. Lilian is frustrated and wanted to give back the pocket as she refused to release him. She believes it would be obvious that he was the one who freed her, but he insists on keeping the pouch. Lilian, however, insists she cannot let him go. Lilian feels strange after seeing Cal being beaten, who seems to have the spirit to tell her to run away. Despite being cherished, he gives her something. She can't guess how expensive it is. Cal, annoyed by Lilian's smile, insists on her frequent visits. Lilian agrees, believing selling this would improve her mother's condition and allow her to accompany Cal for the night. 14 years after Lilian Lu became Ivonne, her good traits changed naturally. She whispered to herself as if she couldn't see Carloy's disgusting look towards her. In a place where there are so many people, she deceived herself as though she couldn't hear the sharp words of Carloy, who wanted to insult her, like she endured all the violence of the Duke. This is nothing. If you stay still, this will also pass. Carloy criticized Ivonne for not listening to him, revealing that she is the Duke's daughter. She apologized for not responding to his questions, but now used a softer tone to criticize her. 14 years of tact and patience were of no use before Carloy. Every time she saw him, Ivonne had to use all of her strength to suppress the urge to grab Carloy by the collar. For 14 years, Carloy seemed to have a knife in his mouth instead of a tongue. The invisible sword sometimes felt more painful than the Duke's hand. The pain was so painful. She came here with determination, but it was painful enough that the determination was overshadowed. And no one else but the Cal of her childhood hates her with all his heart. Of course, Ivonne was more distressed. When Carloy sees her, he wouldn't be thinking of Lilian Lu. Carloy dislikes the Duke's frequent visits to the Empress Palace, which Ivonne finds nerve-wracking as he constantly enters and exits, causing her to feel overwhelmed and potentially insane. The Duke reveals Denise's condition after 4 months, promising to work harder and can't see her mother if the outcome isn't good. Ivonne, unable to cope with the Duke's words, shrinks due to bad memories. Ivonne, nervous, tries to calm down and ask Carloy to sleep with her, as if she has to pray on her knees. Her words hovered narrowly on her tongue, but the servants of the Empress's palace were glistening their eyes, watching Yvonne's every step of the way. Ivonne was forced to repeat the best she could, asking if he would come to bed at least once, even if Carloy refused. Since she became Empress, Ivonne could not see Denise. She never did. When Carloy suddenly appointed Kina as the queen, she vaguely thought it would be just an extension of that stupid thing. It was more effective to turn the country upside down rather than play around in the bedroom. The queen in Croissant was an unrealistic institution, but Carloy brought Kina to lunch, causing her to ponder her feelings for him. She wished to be Kina Roden, a thought Yvonne would share. She suddenly remembered what Cal had said in her childhood. Cal said he wanted to live well with his loved ones. Yvonne thought at the time that it was a very trivial and insignificant dream for a child to dream of such a precious family. Carloy's voice resembles an old one she doesn't want to remember, revealing a new side to Kina that she's never seen before. Lady Anson visited Marianne, a commoner who became the lady-in-waiting due to her service to original Yvonne from her Duke days. The Empress is suddenly acting strange, and Lady Anson is waiting for her. Because Yvonne, who was especially cold to them, was too generous to Marianne, and the only one to understand Yvonne well was Marianne. Marianne approached Yvonne, who was drunk and lost her mind. She asked Her Majesty how she did it, but Yvonne shouted to remove the mirrors. Yvonne, the Duchess's daughter, often resembles the Duke, which is ironic to Marianne, who remembers the real Yvonne resembling her mother. Yvonne was frustrated knowing how she have inherited the Duke's physical characteristics. The Emperor asked Yvonne to prepare for her coronation ceremony, but Marianne knew that he was waiting to find fault. It wasn't enough to ask the attendant and staff, so when the Emperor saw Yvonne, he would scold her himself. The Emperor's words were so cold that even if her voice was gone, Marianne wanted to say something to him. On the other hand, the Duke screamed at Yvonne, saying she should not accept the Queen. He said that the coronation ceremony should not be done at any cost. After the Emperor criticized her for what she was doing, the Duke came and verbally abused her repeatedly. Yvonne was at a loss between them. She understood that Yvonne must be going crazy because of that. Though it was not Marianne, but Carloy who saw her desperate eyes, Carloy made an unknown look as he stood in front of her. Yvonne was lost for words and looked up at Carloy. He looked down at her in the same way. He suddenly grabbed her hand. She was going crazy because he was holding her hand the way he did. Then, Yvonne managed to pull the rest of her mind back to the present. There is nothing to benefit from thinking about this. Yvonne expresses her feelings to Carloy, who questions her if she's doing this for him, causing her head to cool down. Yvonne's head cooled after hearing Carloy's question, as she knew she wasn't doing it for Carloy. She was just doing nothing because she can't do anything. Yvonne, sore and unable to breathe, cried on a bed. After Carloy's departure, she impulsively prepared for the Queen's ceremony. Lilian struggled to sell the valuable brooch due to refusal from rural jewelers and their lack of payment. She managed to sell it to a small city jeweler. Denise questions Lilian where she get those medicine, but Lilian didn't answer her questions. She just believes she can trust her child's strength and the improved effects of the new medicine, which is even better than her old one, despite her weak body. For days, the thugs left Cal untouched, and seeing them this way, it looked like something had happened. Lilian notices the thugs' faces and is convinced they were ordered to kill Cal. She holds a gold coin in her hand, considering turning away from the trapped boy to keep the money she received, but letting him die would eventually become bad money. Lilian enters a room with guilt, seeing his face brighten. Cal moves his head towards Lilian, directing it towards her. Lilian decides to save the kid. There was only one way for Lilian to release Cal without being suspected, for that place to collapse in the rain. Though she was ambitiously explaining her plan, Cal said that curtly. He doesn't want to. Have you been trapped here for so long that you forgot, or have you finally gone crazy? He said he doesn't want it, even though she said she would save him. Lilian is questioned about her sudden disappearance and the plan to kill Cal, but Cal remains calm and knows the truth. Carloy, tired of long imprisonment, is no longer a child who believes he will return alive. He should curse at Lilian, as she is not used to his calm demeanor. Lilian hit Cal's head, stating that violence is the most convincing method to persuade him. She slapped him and argued that if he died, it would be better for him to live and take revenge. Lilian shook her head, but a hasty voice sprang out behind her. revealing he wanted to go. Lilian smiled and relieved. Cal invites Lilian to his spacious house with a physician for her mother. Lilian asks Cal to take care of himself first, and Cal promises to help Lilian run away and pay off his debt. Cal asked with a suspicious face. As the rain was pouring in, Lilian put flumen stones all over the lair while the thugs were busy checking the other places in this mess. Lilian attached a Sparcio stone to her and Cal's bodies, releasing him after 2 weeks. However, a loud noise collapsed a ceiling above Lilian, and she found Cal covering her. Cal was hit by a collapsed ceiling, causing a groan from his mouth. He explains that he did it because there was a person in front of him. Lilian thanks him for saving her. Lilian felt that it was time for them to get out of here. Soon, the place would collapse, and the thugs would come. Carloy eagerly and firmly held Lilian's hand as if it was his only rope. Cal questions Lilian's saving efforts, but she answered the same as him, stating it's because of their humanity. She could hear Cal laughing from behind her back. Rain poured heavily. Lilian Lu did not like rain. However, since she met Cal, Lilian would look outside on rainy days. It was the same when she entered the duchy and lived as Ivonne de Wa. Because Cal was the only good deed Lilian Lu ever did in her life, the only thing she was proud of in her own life. On rainy days, she used to think of it, the short periods of time when she could laugh and talk without anyone noticing. Ivonne, observing cold raindrops, recalled a conversation with the Duke about arranging the Queen's ceremony, while the Duke was raging. The Duke is under pressure to remove the Queen from her position, and suggests to poison her, but fears that if she is poisoned during the coronation ceremony, they will think it was him. You're a person who can handle that much pressure, Duke. The woman who was neither the royal family nor the Queen yet is killed, Ivonne said to the Duke. He appeared eager and prepared to kill Kina Roden, having received the list of people and documents for the Queen's coronation ceremony. Preparation. She couldn't do it. Ivonne thought so as she felt the raindrops. It is as inevitable as the water falling from top to bottom. As she turned to where the maid's voice was, she saw Carloy standing there. He blames her for going to and from a garden he doesn't care about. He seemed to have left because he wasn't interested in Ivonne. Carloy's words were hurtful and unkind. Ivonne deemed him stupid and decided to ignore him, but her body didn't cooperate and hugged him. Carloy asked her what was wrong. Ivonne didn't answer and reflects on her past actions and wishes Carloy would remember similar situations. When she saw he brush his cloth as if she's dirty, she desires to hang her neck. She could see Lady Kina standing with her eyes shining behind him. Ivonne contemplates secretly obtaining an antidote and feeding Kina in advance, who's feeling embarrassed. She exits the indoor garden, barely pressed her irritation. Meanwhile, Lilian and Cal were getting hit and swept around, causing their bodies to hurt. Whenever she bleeds, he stops and heals Lilian's wounds. Lilian always thought that children from precious families were picky. The children, tired from the rain, hid in a cave. Near the cave's entrance were flowers swaying dangerously from the rain and wind. Cal asked their next destination. Lilian told him that they would go to Marquia de Lancy, a safe and unrelated to duchy place. He told her to return home quickly as her mom will be worried and ask her to leave the duchy and go to Marquia to sell the brooch for gold coins. Cal promised her he will find her. Cal grabbed a few gold coins and put the rest next to Lilian, and that was not enough. He even took off his coat and covered Lilian. Cal is regretful for not having anything to give, and he wishes to find her when he returns. He wants to give her something, but the brooch has been sold. He must go quickly, and he prefers if they find her alone to avoid suspicions. She then told him her full name as Lilian Lu, as she think he would thought she was a boy, but he was calm, as if he already knew from the beginning. A young boy she's known for 10 days, is growing from a child to an adult in just 2 weeks. Cal promised to find her soon and tries to comfort her. Cal leaves the cave and runs. Ivonne de Wa woke up to the imperial palace ceiling, a masterpiece depicting an emperor and an empress who died together due to their love. Carloy, who appeared in her dreams, appeared to her after waking up. He was confused about the empress, muttering about a name, Cal. She thought that if she answered harshly, he would disappear, but unexpectedly, Carloy suddenly grabbed Yvonne's hand. The emperor and empress were in a tense silence after he told her he was worried. Yvonne pulled away her hand to avoid a heartfelt moment. Carloy felt emptiness as her hand slipped away, and she apologized for wasting his time despite being busy. He questioned if Ivonne's feelings were mistaken and wondered if he was trying something useless. He expressed his happiness that Ivonne woke up safely. Carloy's words hurt Ivonne, who was upset. He doubted if he offended her, but Ivonne asked him to rest as he was shocked by what happened. It was Ivonne that needs to rest and he need to reconsider his hasty judgments. He leaves her bedroom silently. Ivonne only take a deep breath after Carloy's departure. Yvonne's thoughts are interrupted by Marloni, a physician of the Duke. She thinks that he will doubt how she survived from poison, and might questions her about the antidote, her knowledge, and her ability to obtain it. The physician unexpectedly revealed that the Emperor poured an antidote for Yvonne to escape death after drinking poison. Marloni didn't notice Yvonne already had the antidote. Yvonne was confused. Since it was Carloy who saved her, he would rather be compassionate if he felt bad at all, but Carloy seemed unable to even do that. The doctor examined Yvonne, who suffered physical violence from the Duke that caused visible scars. When marriage to the Emperor was settled, he threatened to use transfer magic, but the scar couldn't be transferred. Marloni covered up blemishes, but required periodic prescriptions. Carloy asked Gordon about the Empress's thoughts on the Emperor, but Gordon couldn't provide a clear answer. He then questioned if the Empress disliked him. Gordon answered, considering her strange behavior and position, she will not like the Emperor. Carloy contemplates his feelings of hostility and hate towards the Duke, while the Empress appears moderate and oblivious, indicating that she does not harbor any genuine interest in him. Yvonne's vague attitude makes it questionable if she would follow Carloy. They need to get closer to the Empress. Gordon asks Carloy what to do first, as he believes he must meet a woman before getting close to her. The day after Yvonne woke up, the Duke visited the Empress's palace and asked what happened. Yvonne questions if the Duke made a mistake, but the Duke glares at Yvonne. He asks if Yvonne tried something stupid. Yvonne is questioned by the Duke about her survival. She explains that she was made to drink an antidote by the Emperor, which she believes was a way to escape death. Yvonne also mentions that the Emperor's use of antidotes may have been a form of embarrassment. Mary entered the room with the Emperor's servants holding flower baskets. The Duke of Delua reads a card expressing hope for the Empress' recovery. Light yellow flowers filled the drawing room with their scent. The Duke throws away the card and opens the jewelry box, leaving a distorted impression. The Emperor sent a jewel box containing the wolf's tears necklace, a famous symbol of the Empresses of Croissant. Yvonne had never received it. That's why the Duke was annoyed. The Duke asked Yvonne what she talked about with the Emperor. She replied that he was worried. Yvonne, lost in thought, questions by the Duke about them planning together behind his back. Yvonne told him that she had came from the dead and the person who changed is the Emperor. The Duke closes the jewelry box without answering, and cautiously calls her to keep an eye on how the Emperor changes. Carloy and Kina are having tea time in the Imperial Palace garden. They discuss about him sending the necklace to the Empress. The Marquis Rodin told him that what he did greatly affect Kina and some nobles will join the Duke. The Marquis of Rodin, aware of Carloy and Kina's attempts to use the Empress to attack the Duke, but only know that Kina volunteered due to her love for Carloy. Despite being falsely accused, Kina remains queen. Carloy warns the disgruntled Marquis of Rodin to stop the Duke's faction from acting up. The Marquis expresses his dissatisfaction with his daughter's blatant side with the Emperor and reminisces about the old saying that raising a child is no use. The Emperor's plan is to acknowledge the existence of the Empress. Carloy was asked if he already received a response from Yvonne, but he remained silent. Yvonne and Mary Ann were surprised to learn that His Majesty had sent her a message to have dinner at the palace annex and sent her flowers. Yvonne is preparing to confront Carloy and create a plan. She promises to be on time and provide an answer. Anson and Rune leave the flowers in her bedroom, while Mary Ann watches suspiciously. Yvonne couldn't attend dinner with Carloy due to a fever caused by flowers sent by Carloy. Lady Anson accidentally brought Lithuania flowers to the bedroom cabinet, unaware of their existence. Lady Anson questions the Emperor's knowledge of Her Majesty's inability to get close to Lithuania flowers and believes the Emperor is determined to harm the Empress, but Mary Ann dismisses this theory and told them to get out. Mary Ann told her not to believe Lady Anson. Lady Rune informs Carloy that they can't have dinner with him because of Yvonne's sudden illness. Carloy sees Yvonne, who appears to be feeling well, but has a frown on her eyebrows. Carloy is annoyed and asked if she is well and asked if she feels sorry, but which makes him feeling embarrassed. Yvonne did see it coming, so she's not surprised. He offered to take a seat, but she and her handmaidens noticed the decorations on the table, including Lithuania flowers.